Alright, hey guys, welcome to Photoshop. First and foremost, you can notice that this looks a lot like Illustrator. Alright, we've got a toolbar over here, we've got our controls over here. A lot of them are different. Alright, the workspace I'm going to be working in is my essential workspace. There's a bunch of different things that we could do. Alright, my advanced students will be working in different ones. We go the essential default. Okay, there's a bottom stuff. We can get rid of some of these things. We don't need my timeline down here. All right, I was working in video earlier and we don't need that anymore. So this is essentially our blank workspace. All right, you notice there's some tools over here. You notice there's a color here. The main difference in this one is foreground color. If you hover over it, you can see the thing, set background color. Move tool, rectangular marquee tool or your selector tool, lasso tool if I want to select odd shapes, my magic wand tool if I want to select items of similar color. All right, this works. I'm obviously selecting. I can change the tolerance of that. The higher the number, the more tolerance it has. So, well, technically the less tolerance it has. So it'll take colors like colors that are connected to that color. Okay, get that back down to our standard 32. All right, the crop tool. If I want to use this, I can select an area, press enter, and I can crop the image. Undo. Okay, the eyedropper tool that I can select colors of certain areas. Oops, we got to go back, make sure, there we go, back on our background layer. I'm going to select this color, and you see that it jumps. It shows kind of what the color, if I'm holding it down, I can kind of select the color and then the previous color I selected. That's kind of nice. All right, so let's say I want to use this, I don't know, this like peachy orange. I'm not going to, but we can if we need to. All right. The spot healing brush tool, we're not going to use that very often, but you can fiddle with that. The brush tool, all right, so if I select this color, I can use the brush tool. Up here is the different types of brushes. I can change the hardness of the brush and the size of the brush. All right, so my cap locks was on. If your cap locks is on, it's going to be a small cross. Otherwise, you could see kind of the brush that you've given. You could see that I selected, or I had my hardness all the way down. As I raise my hardness all the way up, the marks that I make are going to be a bit bigger and a bit harder to those sides. Okay. Difference in Photoshop: to undo, Command Z undoes. All right, but you can't continue undoing. It's not going to take the next step. You have to hold Command Option Z to go back further steps. All right, clone stamping tool, the eraser tool, the fill paint bucket tool. Every one of these has stuff underneath it, so you can go in to and fiddle around. Okay. We're going to be mainly worrying about the marquee tool right here, the selection tool right here for the first couple of projects. All right. Up here, there's other things that you guys can do. There's filters that you guys can do stuff to your image. All right. There's adjustments. I can adjust the color and other things in here. Layer, I can add a new layer. Everything, I would pay attention to the short keys. All right. Type, we don't really use type in this program, okay? So if we have a background or something that we want to create, we're going to use this program. If we use anything with photos, it's called Photoshop. We're editing photos. Adobe Illustrator is used to illustrate images, or used to illustrate things using photos in the background, and then we want to add text, shape, or images through vectors, okay? Yeah, so I urge you guys to mess around with Photoshop. All right, if I want to select a selection of this image, all right, I can do things. I can adjust, make it black and white. Okay, Over here, I can add layer styles. If I double click this, it's my background layer. Press enter. It's now an editable layer. If I double click, I go into my layer styles page, or we can go down here, hover over these little tools, adjustment layer, add a layer style. You have all these options. If I double click that, all right, I have all these options that'll take me to drop shadow. Let's say I want to add a drop shadow. It's going to take me to that layer styles. Okay, so I can double click this layer. It'll take me to my layer styles. Go down to drop shadow. Click drop shadow. There should be a preview on a lot of the things that you guys are using. There should be a preview window, so I can pull this to the side and preview the size of the drop shadow that I want to create. All right. I press cancel there because what I forgot to do is I'm going to copy Command C and then Command V to create a new layer. So if you see, if I click this little eyeball here, the layer in behind and the layer on top, all right, those layers are going to be, all right, copy back from the beginning, paste it onto a new layer. I can go adjustments, black and white, all right. So this new layer, there we go. This new layer I can see that I created, all right, is going to be on a layer on its own. So you guys, this layers is going to be something different that you guys are going to be using in this program, okay? So I have a background layer and a top layer over the top of it. And again, if I double click, I can do things to these later, like I can add a stroke, all right? If I click this, I can see the size of my stroke, all right? The position, inside, outside, all right? Center, all right? It's on the center, so it's going to grow on the center, all right? So I can kind of I can see the color of it, right? Let's say I want that to be white, okay? Good. Over here, I can also add other things. I can do an overlay, an inner shadow. I suggest you guys play around with these. I can add a drop shadow, like I was trying to do before. Preview is on, so I can see what's happening. I can change the spread, the size of it, all right? The opacity of it, the opacity right now. All right, I can make that shadow a little bit darker. All right, if I go distance, distance is going to be 0. The spread, I can do a shadow all the way around in equal areas. Okay, and this is just a nice start, a little introduction to your image. This image you guys are going to get very familiar with because a lot of our Photoshops are going to be done with this image. You can see here that 0, 20, this is a 20-inch wide image by 10, 11 inches or 12 inches wide or 12 inches tall. Nope, 12 inches wide. All right. It's important when you guys are bringing images into Photoshop. I have the ability now to zoom in close to these images. There's lots of detail going on in these larger images. Those are high resolution images. So when you guys are using Photoshop, make sure you guys are finding high resolution images. We can do that by when we go and search for an image. Let's say I wanted to find a Chicago skyline. All right. I can type in Chicago skyline, go to images, all right, go to tools, size, large. So every image that comes up is going to be a large image. You can see that the pixels here, all right, there's a lot of images. This one's a big image. Those are high resolution. All right, this is the image that I pulled off the internet. I just dragged and dropped it into Photoshop. Okay, there's a lot of different things that you guys can do with this program that'll be really cool. All right, I could save this photo right now, bring it into Illustrator, and type in a greetings from Chicago and make this a postcard or something along those lines. All right, I know that's super cool, but all right, so this is Photoshop. Again, fiddle around with it. Okay, all these different things do different things. All right, blur, smudge tool, clone stamping. All right, a lot of these things are going to be different. All right, But we're going to get real familiar with Photoshop in the coming projects.